It's Chris Fade and Caroline Stanbury's Not So Epic podcast.
Okay, we're back. It's Chris and Caroline's Not So Epic, but a little bit epic podcast.
We're back. We like it. We're doing it. We're getting it done, son. I like this artwork. What's that rainbow? I keep seeing it on your Instagram. What's that rainbow?
This is my girlfriend, who's actually a neighbor of mine, Stefania. Doesn't it make you happy? It's so good.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
She's just made me one for my bedroom too, where her new ones all have a poem over the top. Do you remember that poem from the pandemic called "Not Everything Is Cancelled"?
No.
Oh, it's a beautiful poem. Of course you don't. I wouldn't expect you to read, but if you did, there was a really lovely poem called "Not Everything Is Cancelled. Love Isn't Cancelled," and she's put it over the top of it. I'll send you a picture when it's done. But they're really beautiful. She's a really, really beautiful artist.
Good on her. Yeah, it's beautiful. How are you? We're obviously in Dubai. We're still going through the pandemic. Rules and restrictions have been eased up a lot over the last couple of weeks, and things are sort of somewhat getting back to normality. We still have a bunch of cases going on. How are you feeling?
Well, I mean, look, I think this is going to be an interesting podcast because there's so much I want to discuss today about like living in Dubai and the difference between, here and so many other places. But yeah, it's opening up, and I actually have, I am actually all for it. I think, obviously, look, I understand that some people are very scared, that some people are not ready, but I don't think we're ever going to get to a place that we're completely ready. And life has to go on, because the mess that we're causing or going to leave for our children's generation is beyond. And it's being handled in such a way that, to be honest, if you look at, and nobody's really looking at it because obviously only the deaths for the pandemic are being reported right now, the difference between the deaths in the country via suicide and the pandemic, suicide is higher. Okay, so, obviously we're not handling this in the best way.
You can't say that. 100,000 people lost their lives in America.
Have you read that? Yes. Have you looked at the numbers?
Where are you getting the stats from?
Where are you getting the stats from? From the news, from the papers, look it up, Google it. And on top of it, suicide, depression, beatings, it's gone up. What? Domestic violence has shot up. I'm sorry, Chris, like I'd rather take my chances and not, I'm not saying this from a point of, my whole family's healthy. It's not. My father has 17 heart stents. He gets it. It's game over for him. But I'm sorry, he's, a 70-something-year-old man who can stay at home. He's retired. It is what it is. Pregnant women, stay at home. Newborn babies, stay at home. The rest of us have a duty to get back to work. And clearly this country thinks so, or they wouldn't be pulling us out of it. And we still got cases.
Yeah, no, I'm not against it, but I think that stat of you saying that there are more people committing suicide than dying from the virus, I think that's completely wrong. I don't know where you read that, but I don't believe that.
I think it's pretty up there right now.
One of my friends took his own life 4 weeks ago.
I think it's head to head. I think the difference may be negligible. We can pull it up. I can't do it right now, and but
I don't think that's the battle of this is not about, for me, about going. There are people, depression, anxiety, 100%. That's definitely gone up. Of course, suicides.
But also you're crippling whole sectors. It's not like how can it recover? Like I have friends, very good friends, and actually I was just saying there's a guy friend of mine called Mark who owns Catch, worldwide, Los Angeles and Vegas, all that. And he did an amazing chat. I was telling him he should do it more often with a lawyer in LA, because he was saying, in the restaurant business, Caroline, today's dollar pays yesterday's bills. So how the fuck do you catch up from a year? My hairdresser in London, the most beautiful hairdresser in Hans Place in Knightsbridge, has lost £1 million worth of turnover. 1 million. And still has to pay people, and still, like, how do you get yourself out of that hole? These are not small holes. Joey, you know, our really good friend, you know, he's got 30
I get
staff
that.
left. He had however many restaurants. He's meant to be opening one in London. You can't possibly open a restaurant. Can you hear me? Because it says unstable. You can't open a restaurant on 30% capacity. You cannot. I mean, for many, many reasons. Number one, how can you charge Cipriani, prices and go there and it's half empty, right? For the food. You've got no atmosphere, you've got no nothing. Part of the expense of paying for a nice restaurant is the atmosphere and seeing the people. You know, you're talking about plastic cups. Who wants their wine served in a plastic cup when I can eat at home with a glass cup and pay nothing? You know, it will kill the industry. Plastic knives and forks, none of it makes sense. Actually, I went to a restaurant here the other day on Saturday, and it was, I'm not going to name names, but, you know, I didn't get it. I don't get the rules at all. So I had water in a glass, wine in a plastic glass, metal knives and forks. I said, what's the logic between having my water in a glass and my wine in a plastic glass? I don't understand. And they couldn't answer.
No, I get it. I can understand all that, but I always think I put myself in other people's positions. If I was running a country and I had the responsibility of 20, 30, 40 million people on my mind,
well, let me stop you right there. If you were running a country and you had all of that, well, that's what they've just done. They've just opened it up and said, you know, clearly it's worse. They've actually written, it is worse for us to remain under lockdown than it is to sort of go for it.
It's worse at the end of the day, you're talking about human lives. That's why people get so protective. So I understand restaurants, my own business is suffering. My cash flows dramatically dropped by probably 90%. Like, I feel it. I took a salary cut, but when I look at the life of what we're living, if we're living 80 years on this life, hopefully we are, 3 months taken away from me, I can put up with that just to make sure that, you know, the old lady down the street.
That's what we're talking about. 3 months isn't enough, clearly. Okay, the moment you get back on a stupid plane, like these things, you know, when you're talking about a plane and social distancing on a plane, it's an actual joke. How the fuck do you say social distance on a plane where all the air is going through the same ventilator? It doesn't matter if you're in the back and I'm in the front. If we're on a 17-hour flight, eventually my air is going to you, right?
No, 98% of air on a plane is recycled, from what I understand. Not recycled, it's fresh air. I read that. But really? I get it. I agree. But what it is when this first hit, no one knew what to do because we haven't handled this before. So the best decision is to tell everyone, guys, let us just work out a game plan. And I feel like now we're getting a game plan. Our hospitals are understanding more about it. They know what they've got to do when they tackle it. I've spoken to probably 12 doctors over the last couple of months about it, and they're understanding more about this virus. They won't come up with a vaccine. You know, I don't think they'll come up with a vaccine now. It's going to take a while, but they'll be able to give us more things to be able to combat it and help us get through it. So I just think it's been 3 months. I think some of us are acting like it's been years, you know, and we're sitting there complaining, I can't go to my favorite restaurant and drink wine. But how dare you?
I think we're missing the point again. My friends are the restaurant owners. I couldn't give a shit. I'm living in my house. You know, if you want a selfish point of view, I'm living in my house with a chef. I couldn't care less if I go to a restaurant right now. I really couldn't. But you have a social right, you know, and you know, to go and support our friends who are not in that position of like waiting it out like that, Chris. I'm sorry, you know, it's not about going to have a glass of wine in a restaurant. I can have a lovely barbecue here and I'm allowed 5 friends.
Hold on, but it is, because there's hotels here where people are jam-packed drinking and getting on it, and then they'll get the virus, and guess where they go? They go to the hospitals because they need to be looked after, and it's selfish. So if you want to go out there and do that and live your life 100%, but guess what? If you get the virus, don't go to a hospital. Don't put pressure on the already full hospitals. That's what it's about. If we all decided to go back right now and say, F it, here we go, we're going out, right? And let's say we've got 35,000 cases here in the country. Let's say we have 2 million cases in the country. What's going to happen? Do you think, what's going to happen? I can't breathe. I can't go to the hospital. It's full. Because why? We all said we want to get on with our lives. So that's the give and take with it.
Well,
And
there is
I
give and
understand.
take. I'm not saying that either. You know, even when I've been to a hotel, and hotels also need to survive. 200. I know one chain, and I'm not going to mention any names, who've had to lay off 250,000 people here alone. 250,000. It's not a joke. A hotel also needs to survive. I'm not saying go party on the beach and have a 5,000 people get together, but you know, if you're responsible and you go to the beach, I mean, I don't know, like what I've read, and there's so many different conflicting reports. The seawater is great, you know, apparently, I don't know. You know, if you're not on the beach and you're doing social distancing, there's fresh air, you know, and when I went to, I've just been at the Four Seasons, they had social distancing. My friends are staying there. They have all the deck chairs aside, you know, you have to get your own towels, do your own thing, but you know, you're all alone. There's big spaces in between. Then yeah, I mean, again, hotels are going to go out of business. They're again people that really need. They're working on a skeleton staff anyway. There's no menus. There's like, you know, you've got one in-room dining. Lots of people have to be in hotels too, by the way. I have friends who are trapped here. I met these girls on the beach actually yesterday or the day before, really sweet Russian girls who have been here at the Four Seasons for 3 months now. 3 months they can't get out. You know, so
what a hard life. They're stuck at the Four Seasons for 3 months. Oh.
Well, that's a typical thing, but you know, if you can't go home, you know, if you only came for a holiday and you weren't really thinking about it, like it wasn't like a conscious decision, let's go live it out in the Four Seasons. Yeah. Again, that's where I met them. But I'm sure there are many, many other people stuck in other places that aren't as nice as the Four Seasons. Obviously, it's just I went there for the day. But, you know, these girls don't particularly want to be there. It's nice when you come on holiday. It's not so nice 3 months later.
Why do they go on a holiday during a pandemic?
Well, I guess they went just before, didn't they? I know, you know, even look at Melissa. Look at Melissa. Melissa went skiing in the middle of a pandemic, for God's sake, got there and everything was cancelled. Why did she go?
Because people don't use common sense. Like even my cousins did the same thing. They went from England to Spain to go on a holiday when it started to hit, and we're like, what are you doing? And
well, you look at lots of people, they didn't realize what it was, Chris. When it started, people told us it was the common fucking flu. The president told us it was the common flu. Everyone went away. You know, my assistant works very hard. She had a holiday booked with her father, who she sees twice a year, and she was like, fuck it, I'm going. You know, and it turns out that one of her places was the hot spot. So I think that's where Jem got it, to be honest. But I mean, who knows? But look, we all know someone that's had it. Luckily, you know, from our group of people, everyone's managed to recover and is fine. But you know, again, you can't go to the beach.
Listen, I think everyone talks a big game, but and hopefully doesn't happen, until someone within your immediate family gets it and can't fight it. I think it's a different story. A friend of ours, auntie, passed away here in Dubai from it, 51 years old. And, you know, you can talk that game. Well, I think we've got to start in the restaurants and this and that. But then, God forbid, you lose your brother, you lose your sister,
okay, you're losing again the point. I'm not talking about a restaurant. I don't care about the food. Again, you know, I'm in a fortunate position. You're in a fortunate position. You kept saying, God forbid, you can't go to a restaurant. Not about going to a restaurant, it's about a small business. And you know, again, you live with 2 housekeepers who are going to feed you no matter what.
Hold on. I've got to pay. I've got the responsibility of 6 humans that I've got to make sure that I look after.
Me too.
You know what I mean?
Me too. Yeah. No one's helping me. And you know, all the brands that I work for are those big brands. The huge brands, and they're all suffering. I haven't been paid since January. So like, it's not like I'm sitting in my boat going, you know, this is painful for me too. And I don't even know if I'm going to get my money. I'm working as if I will, but who knows? Maybe I won't. And then you're going to have 7 dependents.
No chance. Listen, I just think I believe I'm a small business owner. I own a small business, which has been hit. Like, my sales of snacks dropped dramatically because people have stopped spending on things that they don't need to. And is it eating into my savings? 100%. But I think to myself, we're on month number 3. You know, if this was to go for another month, 2, okay, I know it's affecting people. My brother's nearly lost his job. Like, I know, but at the end of the day, I just want to make sure that when we come out of it, would you rather have a company or would you rather have a human life? So if you're playing with people's lives, I think now we're handling it a little bit more. Look at Brazil. The president of Brazil telling everyone that it's fine and we're going to go. Now they're getting hit hard. Thousands of people are dying every single day. That's someone's brother, someone's mother, someone's sister, because you turn a blind eye to it. So where we are right now, I think, you know, it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. You know, I'm not saying that I want everything fully locked down and no one leaves, no restaurants are open, 100% not. But there are just, people are dumb. Some people are dumb. I went for a run the other day outside on a running track on the beach. I'm wearing my mask. I'm wearing glasses. And as I'm running past people, they've got their masks down. These guys are pushing out air, right? And I'm like, I've got the common sense and I'm respecting you to wear my mask. Put your freaking mask up. And I went, every single person I ran by that didn't have it, I tell them, put your mask up. Because people don't want to abide by rules and regulations. That's what it is. Like, the government here have been amazing and they've opened things up, but people are dumb. Like, they're going to use and abuse it, and the numbers go skyrocketing. Hospitals can't handle it anymore, and they're going to have to be like, well, sorry, guys, we're going to have to bring it down again, you know? And I just want everyone to be able to be smart about it. That's really all it is. And again, when I speak to doctors and the nurses in the hospitals here, they're the ones that I think of, because they're the ones that I have to deal with these guys every single day. And, you know, I can stay at home in my little pad here and just enjoy my life, go have something to eat every so often, go for a run here and there, go to my job, and I'm cool.
We all have a social, you know, well, you were always cool like that before the pandemic hit. I think we all have a social responsibility, and, you know, like, I walk around with my gloves, my mask, my, you know, hand sanitizer, all of the rest. But, you know, again, it's bigger than that, unfortunately. And this is not something, there are new strains every day, different things are happening. There is no, you know, no one knows. So we need to find a way of existing.
Exactly.
So
100%. Nobody knows. And that's why they had to do that, because no one knew what was going on. God forbid it could have been a virus that literally killed everyone, you know, and we didn't know that initially. So you had to do what you got to do. And now that we're knowing more about it and how it's harming different types of people, and, you know, I think we are understanding how to combat it, you know, and I think slowly but surely more and more things will open up. But, you know, it is what it is.
Biggest issue, how, you know, how something like this happened and how to stop this whole thing happening again. But anyway.
History shows that it's happened. It happened 80 years ago. It'll happen in another 80 years. It's just what it is, you know. So, and it's out of no one knows. No one knows the answers. There's no one. No, not one scientist, not one leader knows what's going on. It's, you know, they're working on it at the same time. So anyone that gives you that answer, or they think they know how to handle the situation, is sort of making it up. None of us have been here before. It's not like there's some guy who was in the Spanish flu who beat this is now telling all of us what to do. We're just like sort of rolling as we go, rolling with the punches, as they say.
So I think, I know that they've just announced the gym. I mean, the thing that I would have held back still, gyms, which is a sweat bucket, a total sweat bucket. And it's not like going to a restaurant and sitting 30 feet, you know, 6 feet from somebody, you know, where you're dressed and I put some deodorant on and, you know, you've got your hand sanitizer. You are going to stand next to someone and sweat. That I don't understand. And the dirty machines.
And it's interesting because, you know, the States and Australia both haven't opened up their gyms. We have here. I've got good friends, I mean, close friends who own gyms here in the country. And I feel for them, because I was speaking to them the other day where I'm like, he's invested millions of dollars into this gym, opened it up. 2 months later, this pandemic has hit. So he's employed staff, he's invested a couple of mil into it, and he's got nothing. And as much as I want him to go back and I want this to open, I thought to myself, I don't know. I'm not comfortable going to a gym yet. Like, I want to see the numbers drop a little bit more. I'm hoping Yesterday on my radio show was day one when they opened. And there was a guy at 6 o'clock in the morning driving and going straight to the gym. And I said to him, Thomas, his name is Thomas. I go, what? You're ready to go? He goes, I'm ready to do this. He goes, I'll take my precautions. I'm wearing a mask. I've got sanitizer with me and I've got my towel and I'll wipe it all down. And I think a lot of the gyms are practicing social distancing. They're putting a lot of the machines apart from each other, which
Melissa
is pretty
went
good.
this morning, and you have to book a time, a time slot. I know Jem went to Barry's.
Wow, really? See, I don't. I mean, Jim's had it. I feel like Jim's like, yeah, I've had it. I'm out. Let's do it. You know what I mean? He's had the coronavirus. He did it. So
he did it. He did his time. It was real time too. So I feel like he might be the same.
Why did Melissa feel the need on day 2 of opening that she needed to go? Like, she's got a yard out there where you can get fit, stay healthy, do what you got to do. Why did she feel the need to go to actually a gym now and sweat it out?
I mean, you know me, I was in the gym every single day before I started this. And no matter what I do, and I'm, again, everyone says it's 98% what you put in your mouth. I mean, Melissa's younger than me, but at my age, everything is beginning to wobble now. Like I need the machines. I need the like motivation. It's so bloody hot outside too. Every time I go outside, I get hit with a wave of whatever, and I lose my motivation to do anything. And I think that that's probably where she is. And Melissa and I were on like a diet and like a health kick before all this to get ready. Not that we have a summer. I mean, I don't know. I booked a house in Greece. I don't know if I told you this. I have a before pandemic. And I've already paid the deposit and everything with, about 6 friends. And so we didn't know if we were going or anything. So I was, then I was like, okay, summer's canceled. My summer body is canceled. But now, I mean, I got an email from them because they're not giving me my money back. And they're like, Greece will be open. So I'm like, frankly, okay, if it's open, I'll go.
When is it? What month?
I've got the villa from the 25th of July to the 3rd of August. And
it's interesting because I was thinking, I've been telling the kids that we're not going anywhere for holidays. Usually we go to LA or we'll go back home to Sydney. And I've been saying no, most likely in December if we're lucky. But
I doubt you'll get to LA, Chris.
Yeah, I know. They won't. I'm going to see how. I'm debating. I'm not going to go to LA anyway. That wasn't the plan. The plan was to go to Australia. So I'm going to see how it goes. If the borders are open, I thought to myself, maybe in a couple of months, in August, 3 months away from now when we're talking, maybe things will be a little bit easier. Maybe I feel like we need those instant tests. You need that instant test that you can like prick yourself and then know within 5 minutes if you've got it or not.
Or whatever. But yeah, I mean, LA, I've spoken to all my girlfriends, and I mean, it's 10 times worse. Not the numbers, funnily, or anything like that. But, I always find that in America, they kind of, in certain places, LA are king of over panicking. And they've shut everything down. And, I've been speaking to, just being in a house on your own for this length of time. I mean, now they're beginning to visit each other, but, they've used real scare tactics over there, and they're really scared. And my girlfriends have been living in homes by themselves. They're not doing anything. That you can't get in or out of America, especially if you're not a resident. There are no flights, even if you want to get there. So
yeah, because go to New York and just see what happened in New York. And, I got friends that live in New York as well, and just see the amount of lives that they lost there. So I think for LA, they're like, we don't want to end up how New York ended up, So I think they're probably just taking it. They're playing it safe. Man, it's horrible. It's horrible for businesses. It's horrible for the economy. You can bounce, and I know this is harsh, but you can bounce back. You can bounce back from losing a business. You can't bounce back from losing a life. Like that's something that you can't recover in a year or two. And as hard as it is, I think, at least there's surpluses. The worst thing that's happening in the States right now is people are staying on unemployment because they're making more money getting the free money from the government when they were working. I know a friend of mine who was working is now obviously the company stopped paying her. So she's now gone on welfare. She's gone on government money. And she's like, Chris, I'm making more money in my pocket than I was when I was working. She's like, even though she wants to go back to work because she's just that type of person that doesn't want to be doing nothing. But people are making more money from the government than they were when they were actually working a job, which is a scary thing to think of.
Well, that's crazy. That's actually crazy. But there are still 36 million unemployed right now in America, which is unthinkable. But when restaurants and clubs and things like that, you see, I don't know, that was a $70 billion industry or whatever, how does that come back?
It will come back.
I mean, we laugh. I would go to a restaurant. I'm not sure I'd pack myself right now into a nightclub.
Yeah, no. See, that's the thing that one of my friends who owns the clubs around this country,
yeah.
we were talking about that, and he's a little worried of where it's going to end up, because I think a lot of things will come back, but I don't believe the clubbing life will come back for a while.
I don't think so either. Like, who wants to be jammed into a nightclub right now? You have host dinner parties, you go to a restaurant, you maybe go to a bar, and they watch the numbers in, but you can't do that in a nightclub. The whole point of a nightclub is to be packed in and dancing in these things. Like, if you had a social distancing nightclub, you may as well stay home.
Hey, it could be something, a social distancing nightclub, because you saw that guy in was it Korea or Japan? I forget which country it was. He went out and he had the coronavirus, and they went clubbing, and that one person infected like 17,000. It was crazy.
Stop it.
They traced it. It was like some ridiculous number that he went out. They traced it from every club that it went to X amount of people, that went to X amount of people. So it's pretty scary, man. But I just keep thinking, like, what I keep thinking about is when we are coming back, and when we do come back, it's going to be amazing. I think once we're good to go, the amount of events that are going to be happening, people putting on concerts, I think it's going to be great. I was talking to one of my friends who's a promoter, who brings some big names out to different countries to perform. And, he was saying to me, we're not sure how we're going to handle it, because, the only way that we're going to be able to do this is if the artist takes a 50% less fee to perform. So let's say an artist like Bieber, let's say he charges, I'm making these up, but let's say he charges $2 million to perform, but the concert house, the place where they're doing it, is going to only have 50% of people in there, because they've got to do social distancing, have a gap between each seat. You're going to have to go back to the artist and say, hey.
How is this great? It's still not great. I don't see how theater show, Broadway, I had my tour. That's canceled. And again, my tour. Oh, can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
I've lost you. Say hello.
Hello? Hello?
Okay, I've got you now. You now. So
I don't
know, this is great.
I don't think this is great at all. I mean, my stupid little tour, which was nothing, is cancelled to the unforeseeable future. How can you have a concert with social distancing? Who on earth is going to Broadway right now to cram themselves into a Broadway show? No one. Okay, I mean, literally, I was speaking to my agents at UTA, and they were like, it's going to be the last thing to come back, isn't it? Like a night out in the theater. Which was a really beautiful thing to do. And I'm not thinking about myself. I'm thinking about all the other shows out there. But like, when I had to think about myself, because obviously I took mine off, and they said, do you want to wait? Do you want to push it back? And I'm like, actually, just take it down for now. Pay everyone back and take it down, because I can't see that the first thing that everyone's going to do when we come out of this is go and sit in a theater. I can't see how that's going to happen. Podcasting, however, yes. I think this will be people's entertainment, and this is great. And I think, as you saw, like my friends that are doing podcasting right now, they're really building in America, and people are really, really enjoying them. And you've got your, stay home series, and I think people really getting into these kind of things. But this is where it's going to be at the moment. Zoom calls, my Instagram lives. I did an Instagram live the other night with Larsa. We had 17,000 people on that first one straight away. It was really fun. But I can't see. I don't know how your club guys and your concert guys. I don't think concerts are going to happen the same way. Maybe in an outdoor arena. I was thinking about bringing a friend here to do maybe I was talking to Matt, maybe we do big band and we do it on a beach and, where everybody's under the stars and you have air coming, and maybe that works. I don't know how it works. I'm actually beginning to think about it now, but it's not going to be anything close to where the money was, what was involved in it before. I don't believe these nightclubs, a lot of them can survive all that time, because even if, all the businesses open up and you maybe get to a movie theater, I don't know if you'd go to a cinema or not. I don't think you're going to a nightclub. I don't. Or to a concert. When I can download the music, why am I going to a concert right now? To queue, to get in. You can't stop queuing to get into a concert hall. How's that going to work?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think there are people that don't care and that they will go. Memorial Day that just happened recently, you saw that in the States. People just out there partying on the beaches and on their houses and their boats. Like, there's some people that just don't care. And, I say good on them because they've got that in them, that they don't care, like they don't have that fear factor. And to a point where I don't care about myself. I only care about the other people. Like, I feel pretty safe and confident now with this thing. It's crazy. I've come full circle, but I just get people for other people are getting it. I would never want to be that person that, had it, didn't know he had it, and then spread it to someone. And then
what are you going to do? So what are you going to do? Your job is based on going into crowds of people, being Chris Fade, standing on stage and doing your thing now. Are you going to do that?
I think once it's back, yeah, but there'll be new rules. Like, even when I went to the mall the other day, and, people approaching me to take some photos, but we were all out of the few photos that I took, 2 of them were straight out. Like, we understood each other. We took a selfie while self-distancing. It was pretty cute. But then I did have one guy who came up to sort of like give me a hug, and I went, hey, and it was a little awkward. I go, bro, we can't do that right now. And he's like, that's right, we can't. So I think we can do that sort of stuff. I think we can get to that point where things are working, and it's just going to be a new way for a while, but we will revert back to how it was 100%. No matter what it is, man, what it is, we're learning through the process. I think we'll be okay. We will be okay.
I think it's made us all closer to the ones that are with us. That's for sure. We've been forced to. I was talking to girlfriends of mine who've got new boyfriends or, dating or whatever. It's sort of zoomed up their relationships. It's so
sped it up.
What?
Yeah, it sped it up. A couple that I knew were actually going to break up, and then this all happened, and they all said, well, let's just wait for this to go through. They're back together and they're fine now. Like, it's crazy. The pandemic actually brought them together. But, no matter what it is, everyone has different opinions. We just got to make sure that we're looking after ourselves. And as the hashtag here in our country, in the UAE says, is be responsible. We are responsible. Just be responsible for one another. And I think that's really about it. Next episode, we're going to talk about why we're in Dubai. Is that cool?
Yes, living in Dubai. So, and the pros and the cons and what brought us here, really, and why we're staying.
And yeah, why we're staying. Lots of love. Miss you as always. And hopefully, maybe we can see each other in the next couple of weeks.
Ooh, lucky me. Okay, yeah. I would love that. All right, big kiss.
Bye, guys. Bye. See you later. Bye-bye.
It's Chris Fade and Caroline Stanbury's Not So Epic podcast.